I discovered astrology by chance at the age of 15 in 2005, precisely in the year of the debut of some of the most well-known of the dwarf planets, trans-Neptunian TNOs or KBOs. Then in 2013, I began to get back into it. And, as usual, I became curious about the potential for astrological interpretation of the dwarf planets and other TNOs, and I started a long-term project. Today, my project reaches its culmination after almost 13 years. For several years now, I have been in contact on social media with Sue Keentz, a well-known American professional astrologer specialized in the application and interpretation of the TNOs in the astral charts of well-known personalities, and I own her book, More Plutos, essential for any enthusiast of alternative astrological insights. Last year's understanding of the value of TNOs was amplified by the naming of a new handful of cosmic objects, and I followed each WSGBN bulletin with trepidation, later commenting with my astrologer friend. With the help of artificial intelligence, pushed to the limit with precise inputs, I created the dialectical foundations for a new astrological system, based on 48 different objects, all beyond Neptune, except Ceres. According to Lisa Morpurgo, a very well-known and fundamental professional astrologer whose books I own, the one who spread the true logical dialectical structure of the zodiac and made astrology a rational subject, each celestial body must have a precise function, occupy a logical void, respect the dialectics of the signs, not duplicate what already exists, at the limit, we would say, amplify its essence in fractal mode, at different magnitudes, not contradict the structure of the solar system as an organism. Every object, celestial body, of the solar system is a dialectical microplanet. It represents a function, and each of these functions belongs to a zodiac sign. These TNOs can be interpreted as subvectors, octave or microoctave, modulators, subdialectics. They don't change the structure, but refine it. Each object is a dialectical extension of the corresponding sign. Each object is a dialectical modulator of the sign that hosts it. They explain how the sign manifests itself in extreme or hyperspecific conditions. The zodiac dialectic thus becomes a system of 12 signs, X, and microfunctions. Each sign could now have 4 different voice varieties. This astrological system is more precise, more surgical, more structural. Dialectics remains the heart of the system. The dialectic is not overwritten. The TNOs represent psychic functions that were missing until now. Pluto cannot represent all depths. Neptune cannot represent all that is dissolutive. Uranus cannot represent all innovation. TNOs have orbital periods of hundreds of years, eccentric orbits, particular inclinations, dynamic resonances with the external giants. The discovery of them changed our cosmology. Pluto was not downgraded because it wasn't important enough, but because we discovered many other planets like it, dwarfs, Platini. The solar system is more complex than we think. The Kuiper Belt is a realm, not an edge. A true astrological system must be inclusive of all-encompassing. Astrology must reflect modern knowledge. The Morpurgian model is here crossed, expanded, dismantled, and reconstructed in order to obtain a dynamic map of psychic functions, internal processes, evolutionary thresholds. This system offers a coherent grammar for professionals. For what until now had remained fragmentary, each object has a precise function, a field of action, a connection to a sign, and each sign opens into a family of archetypes. It is sufficient to understand and memorize 48 ways of being, doors of human experience, ways that can be tones, movements, types of growth. The strength of the system lies in its internal dialectics. Each archetype is a narrative function, a psychological process, a movement of the soul. It is a new language, but also a familiar one. Scorpio now becomes a plutonic function cluster. Cancer is a complex lunar field. The aquarium is an ecosystem of innovation, otherness, and fractures. Pisces is no longer only associated with Neptune, but with an ocean of dissolutions, healings, mysteries. The Morpurgian dialectic of functions, archetypal psychology, comparative mythology, and the real structure of the external solar system are integrated. Honest astrologers should be able to recognize that the sky we use is no longer the sky we live in. It's not about following the trend of novelty or a technical quirk. It is an act of astrological realism. Today we know that the Kuiper Belt is populated by dozens of objects, with associated mythologies that are rich and coherent. To ignore them is to use an incomplete atlas. An excellent way to memorize the new dialectical astrological functions is to transform the sequence of objects ordered by their distance from the Sun, for AU, into a sequential cosmogonic structure, which represents the evolution of the human community in its most varied facets, highlighting the polarities of the symbol. For example, Jupiter and Saturn are polarities. The planets adjacent to each other have functions that are opposite poles. For this, it is necessary to know the order of AU of the TNOs. The logical understanding is reached that the astrological system cannot stop at Pluto, also because there are even objects between Neptune and Pluto. Lately in astronomy, it is customary to assign the name to a dwarf planet based on the acronym originally assigned after the discovery. Example, 2005 RN43 became Ratona, and I have applied this system to select temporary names for objects that have not yet received the name. Dialectics revealed to me that my choices were not random, because they coincide with a logical necessity that is deduced when the entire planetary sequence is in front of us. I deduced that if they decide to assign other names, the ones I have examined have a great potential to turn out to be correct. To find ephemeris and transit periods, use these two websites. Librarizing planetary tables, http://www.librarising.com/tables/planetable.html, and Serenu, https://serenu.com. Also visit my new dedicated website, https://astrologidialecticomnicomprensiva.wordpress.com, and spread the link to anyone who might be interested.